everyone. I'm Elena, and I'm the founder of the C-Suite Collective. This is a company I created for executive leadership coaching and wellness that supports C-suite executives, entrepreneurs, and founders. Now, more than ever, businesses are running faster and with fewer resources. Burnout, overwhelm, disconnection, and disillusionment are the new norm for teams struggling with an old paradigm. At the C-Suite Collective, we believe deeply that providing massive support for your teams through executive coaching and holistic practices will create an inclusive culture, higher levels of performance, sustainable change, and the organizational impact you desire. You can find us at the c-suitecollective.com. What breakthroughs have you had this year? Let's look at that in our coaching tip for the month. Today in our interview segment, we have Derek Mulhern, a professional certified coach, former executive who specializes in executive leadership coaching. He assists individuals and teams in unlocking their full potential by enhancing self-awareness, leadership, communication, and decision-making skills. I hope you enjoy the episode today, and remember, something powerful resides within you. I'm here to support you in seeing it and creating it. So the topic for today is, what breakthroughs have you had this year? This is something I typically slow down at the end of the year and take some time to think about and feel out. How did I grow this year? When I say breakthrough, I mean, what did I shift permanently in my life that I learned from and that I'm growing from? One of the ways to approach this is to follow a couple of steps. The first thing I'll do is I'll create some time and space for reflection. So in the past, I used to try to do this on the fly, or when I was sitting on the couch watching TV, or when my coach would ask me to do it mid-session in a coaching call. And instead, now I intentionally create time on my calendar to sit down, maybe with a glass of wine or tea and a candle, or in a quiet space in my house where I can sit and reflect for a good 45 minutes to an hour. I also love music. Y'all probably know this about me by now, so I'm going to have something playing in the background that's going to be relaxing my body somatically to tap into what did I actually learn this year. So that's the first step, is create time and space for reflection. Then open your calendar if you can have it by your side, even if it's digital, just for a second. Try not to get distracted by everything else digitally. But open your calendar and start to look at each month starting from January of 2024. As you're going through the months, write down the big moments, not only the celebratory big moments or the life-changing moments, but the hard moments. Oftentimes, I can't think of them all when I'm just sitting there trying to think of them. So I'll look at my calendar and I'll let my calendar tell me, where was I? What was I doing? Who was I with? What conversations did I have? And start to create a list of these big moments and hard moments. The next step is a series of questions that I would ask myself. The first is, what did the moment teach me? What did I learn about myself? Second step is, what are you grateful for about this event? So after you've looked at what it taught you, what you learned, bring the gratitude forward. What did you excel at that you can be grateful for? And also, what was really hard that you can be grateful for? The next question that I ask myself is, what would you do differently? What would you change? What would you shift? Or what are you never doing again? Some of the moments in my life, I look at it and I'm like, that was a lesson learned and I'm never going to try it that way again. Never say never, I guess, but at least try. And then the last question I ask myself is, what is the gift that you're taking forward? This last one is really important because it allows me to bring into my being or my leadership or just the way I live my life a new centering point. So it really is, where did this breakthrough occur? Do I now trust myself more to make decisions in a way that I might not have trusted myself in the past based on an event that happened this year? Or based on something I'm learning about myself, again, that might be stacking from year to year or might be getting clearer year to year, but I'm now willing to take it with me as a gift. Derek, thank you so much for being here today. I love working with you, and I love the way your heart and brain operate in the world. So I'm excited to share that with people today. And I usually like to start by some acknowledgement. the first time that we were in each other's space, I remember thinking how incredibly focused and kind you were and smart as a new coach. I mean, you were a pretty new coach when I met you. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this guy has it so much more together than I did when I was a new coach. And I was so impressed by your level of clarity, but again, just like so much heart. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Elena. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited for the conversation. And like, it's been very enjoyable, isn't the right word? It's one of the words, but
Yeah.
it's been really great to be connected with you more in your community, with the people you're with. Everyone has the same similar vibe of what they are up to and creating and doing and being with people in the world. So happy to be part of it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, I want to just start a little bit of background with you. So, how did you become a coach? And was there any previous life before that that you want to share?
No, I was born as a coach, fully just came out and I was like, I'm a coach.
Probably true.
uh, so I became a coach, officially became a coach. I mean that by like started training program and actually like started calling myself a coach in 2022, which is weird to say that that's almost 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But, had been working in a lot of coaching capacity within organizations where not like official coaching capacities, but coaching capacities where I was serving as coach, mentor, manager without distinctions for a number of people, which was part of why I got into coaching, part of why I got into it. But my background is that I grew up on a farm in Minnesota, a dairy farm. So I'm a big cow person. If that's
Nice.
a thing for people, it's a thing for me. But my degree is in agricultural education. And I just say that because like I have a very interesting background. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't have backgrounds in agriculture. My first few jobs I had were in the agriculture sector. But eventually, like, from my place of being, I came out when I was 18 as gay.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of got to this point where I was like, conservative agriculture, like liberal gay kid, does not compute. And
Mm-hmm.
really tried to reconcile those places for a long time. But what I really learned is I just kept leaving myself behind to try and like fit into something that wasn't really fitting in for me. So I eventually jumped off ship and moved to DC and got engaged in working for a lot of trade organizations, anything from like membership to policy to operations and systems, but really worked in a lot of different kind of shops around professionalizing people, supporting their businesses, supporting, what that kind of industry or sector was up to. And I think as I'm saying that, it's the first time I'm recognizing like that actual connection to coaching too. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and eventually just said to myself, I don't want to work an employer anymore. And coaching was the
Mm-hmm.
thing that I picked. And it's been a fun journey to have just picked something that with that much trust to now see where it's gone and what it's turned into.
That's beautiful. And I really hear that the piece that called you was being an entrepreneur more than anything, which I think is super important in the coaching industry because a lot of people come in thinking that they really want to be a coach, but they don't love the entrepreneur part. So I love that it was flipped for you.
Yeah, totally. And it's been like, it's funny. I think I've had sometimes the flipped experience of like, I like and I love coaching in a number of ways. And sometimes I just am like, ooh, I like working on the business side. Like I like being in a relationship on sales. I like,
Mm-hmm.
actually like getting curious about my systems and how they operate sometimes too much. But yeah, I love it both.
That's beautiful. Well, I know something that's on everybody's minds, and a lot of what we've been working through this month with everybody is the US elections. And one of the, everybody has their own take on this in the world right now. But I'm particularly interested in talking about it with you because I know both of us have worked in government sectors, myself on and off for the past 4 years. And I'd love to just hear a fresh take on where we are at in terms of leadership and humanity. So, is there any entry point into this conversation that you want to start with?
Yeah, there's a lot I could pick, but I think what I'm going to pick is just what does it mean to be in relationship right now?
Hmm. Yes.
So I think one of the things that I'm seeing post-election. And I think, let's be clear, I saw it pre-election with
Yep.
my clients
Yep.
and outside my clients. But there's just been so much that's been going on with the world and where we're at with the
Hmm.
world. Like, we walked out of COVID, there were a lot of feelings around it. We are, have had an economy that's been up and down, sideways, really testing people in different ways. We've had wars going on globally, and now we've had a monumental presidential election. And it was extremely divisive. No matter what side you fell on, it was extremely divisive.
Hmm.
And I think the challenge that has really been presenting people is a I don't want to get into a relationship anymore. I don't want to opt into having the conversation. I don't know where I can step, and I don't know what's safe to talk about.
Hmm.
And it's not just from that place of I'm scared and sad. That is absolutely something I'm seeing. Like, I want to be really clear about that. But I'm also seeing it in the weight of trying to walk around all the things that are happening and not knowing how someone feels is enough for me to just pull back and be like, okay, the election happened. I'm going to go just focus on 12 different things in my life. And we're not even going to get close to any of these things because I'm afraid I'm going to touch a ticking time bomb no matter what direction I go.
So well said. And I know, I think you work with clients across the board. So I just want to open up the conversation a little bit more. Like when I look at my practice, I have people that are far right. I have people that are far left. I have people that are in the middle. I have people that are independent. So one of the things I love about our profession is I feel like we get the privilege and the honor of hearing all sides and multidimensional thinking, which not everybody has access to. So, in regards to what you're saying, what do you advise people when they come to you and they say, I'm just not, either I'm not ready or I'm not willing right now to have a different conversation? Where do people start?
Yeah. I mean, I think, my curiosity for them always comes around like, what has you not willing to have another conversation or being where you're at right now.
Mhm.
But, there is an advising piece of it a bit as we move through some of the coaching to understand and hear where they're at. That's really around, hey, like, what is it that, like, what's your place in the world?
Mhm.
And what's the world that you see for the future, for yourself, for your kids or your dog, whatever it might actually be that you can actually find future in, that you
Mhm.
can find what's next in. Like, what is that world that you see, and how are you going to be responsible for being part of it?
Mhm.
Because what I have seen in that is it allows people to start seeing that there is something different than this moment right now. This
Mhm.
moment right now is not the absolute, it's not the end, and it's not the beginning. It's just now. And so, really allowing them to start asking what's next grounds them. And it's so funny as I say this, it's like, Elena, one of the first things we learn as coaches,
Yeah.
and I like actually never processed that that's what I was doing. It was just so like, let's get out of right now because this is not helpful. So I'm processing that for myself as we talk.
Yeah. What is your future vision? Right? Like the
Yeah.
number one coaching conversation. Yeah. Well, and then what I notice on my side of the street is people still have access to a future vision. I think most of my clients are willing to sit in that and go there. But when we bring it back to the tangible actions to take to move forward to get back into relationship with people, whatever that means, right? People who disagree with you or people that you're afraid of, that's where we're seeing a lot of people shut down again. So is there anything that you are curious about for yourself around what could be processed or what tools or tips that people might be looking at when they're still not able to connect the dots between the future and now?
Yeah. I think that it's really a lot about like, what do we have to process here still?
Hmm.
There's whether it's, traumatic responses, whether it's like literal real grief, but really getting deep with people to understand like, hey, like, let's actually be in this.
Mm.
But like, let's also look at this spectrum of like, when are we being in it as a reflexive defense mechanism rather than making a choice to do something different? And my my kind of 2 cents, or my what I've really seen with people is that there's a lot of time when people are actually just not even consciously being in that space. Like,
Mm.
it is just so quick because they're so angry and they're so mad. But what they're not identifying is the anger and the mad. They're identifying the sadness, they're identifying the disappointment, the distraught, but they're not really identifying that anger.
Mm.
And for them to really kind of wrap their heads around it. But all of these people are like you and I in a way, Elena.
Hmm.
They might not work directly in their jobs or careers with people across the spectrum, but once they assess their friends, their family, and their work relationships, they're hitting all directions of it in some way, shape, or
Yes.
form. And so the questions get to then be around like, hey, do you want to create a life where you're going to just really think through who you're going to bounce onto over and
Hmm.
over again, and what what are you actually missing out on by opting into it that way rather than engaging with others?
That's beautifully said. Especially when we approach the holidays, right? We're getting ready to have a couple holidays here in the US come up and in the world, the end of the year, calendar year. So, do you have any conversation starters for families as they gather this time around when it feels so much more heightened and heated than normal? Even during normal election years, we always have the holidays after, right? But this year in particular, I notice myself and my clients are, I wouldn't say more anxious, I would say numb and resigned. So for those people in particular that are going in, and even the people that are celebrating, I think they're like, I look at my family in particular. We have lots of different viewpoints in my family, and I think everybody's just nervous. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Everybody's nervous to get together to see what's going to happen. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm sure I could come up with some conversation starters. I think I'm just going to speak at that though for a second, and what comes to my mind is I feel so many people will hear this. I'm like saying this in a place of vulnerability for myself. Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be some levity to this. I know these are all very
Mhm.
serious things, and there are real consequences to what's going on in the world right now, as well as the election and what the change in power will look like. And we we simply cannot approach this from a heavy space constantly. Our bodies
Mhm.
aren't designed for that. We can't continuously hold that space. That's not a healthy practice for us. And so how do we create the space to like have some joy and some fun and like laugh about it a little bit? It's been one of
Mhm.
the things I've done as I've watched some of the, cabinet picks or whatever it is come out. Like,
Mhm.
I don't understand it, and it just makes me laugh a little bit. And again, I know that I'm saying that from a place of privilege in relationship to some other individuals. And, as we engage with people that have different viewpoints than us, like, there's a lean in option, but there's also a like, you know, a curiosity, not in their choices or why they like X, Y, or Z, but in like, where are they at in their life right now? Like,
Yeah.
how is life for them? Like,
Mhm.
what's going on? And when we say it, it's like very human to human conversation, right? Like, how
Yep.
are you? What's going
Yep.
on? Like,
Yep.
what was great about this last year? What was
Yes.
challenging about it? And you get to both explore without having to dive in to the like weird nitty gritty pieces.
Yeah, I really like that because what I'm hearing is that you actually get to deal with what is and be present. There's a lot more presence available if we're talking about real immediate things in connection with people, as opposed to theorizing about the future or predicting the future in conversations that may or may not go very far when you're trying to rebuild relationships with people. It's like rebuilding trust slowly over time. You can't expect a high gradient when you're rebuilding trust.
Totally. And it's so funny because I think about what was it? 2013, I think.
Hmm.
I'll never forget the Christmas that I left my aunt's house screaming, and my dad started crying in the truck on the way home, and then I was crying in my bedroom when I got home, all over healthcare at the time.
Oh no.
And we all had healthcare. No one in that room didn't have healthcare. Like we
Oh
all were
no.
fine,
Oh
right?
no.
But
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
me, I allowed myself to just be so in it.
Mhm.
And I was so in it, I wasn't with anyone. I was with my thoughts, my righteousness, my desire to make a point, and no one had fun because of it. Great.
Man, I've had a couple of those as well, especially when I was younger, when I was, in my early 20s and just getting into my college years and, trying to spread my wings with my independence. There was so much I learned during those years about how to love people where they're at. And that for me, part of my value system and my ethos is start with love. So, really, just again, in real time, no matter where you are in the world, starting from that place of what's right here in front of me. What's the conversation I want to have with people?
Yeah. It's the other thing, it's something I recognize about that. Like, I'm reflecting back on this 2013 thing was like, there was still this familiarity. It had been like, what, maybe 5 years since I had come out. My family was still learning what did that mean? How did they understand it? And for me, it was like me still learning it for myself, like
Mm.
this new life of my own. And when you talk about leading with love, what's become clear to me about that situation is that like I was so fearful of not being loved because I was still working on like my own love for myself,
Yeah.
that that's what gave me that sensation. I know I love myself. I can go into the same room when I go home this year, and we'll have a lovely conversation, and I will not see eye to eye with them very much, and life will go on, and I'll love them for who they are and they'll love me for who I am. It's like it's just so much simpler. I don't need them to have to love me, like,
Mhm.
because I've got myself.
Mhm. And then there's more space to see whatever does show up in
Yep.
relationship that you want to create. That's beautifully said. Well, speaking of the end of the year, you know, outside of the US elections and, whatever conversations are going to happen at tables, how are you preparing for the end of the year? Just in a normal everyday year?
Yeah. I feel like I look at the end of the year as, I think the only thing it means for me is a new budgeting cycle, because I budget for a year, January 1 through December 31st. It means that it's Brian's birthday at the end of the year, and we get a lot of time off. Beyond
Mm.
that, like I put time and thought into what I want to create the next year
Mhm.
and prepare for like having some downtime. But I think I actually probably spend more time with my clients and being like,
Mm.
hey, how are you preparing? Like, what are the things you want to do? Like, how are you marking this year? How are you preparing for next year? So I go through some rituals that I don't like, not even present to like the necessity of what the ritual is, but it's like there's a lot more spaciousness that comes up in December. I think through like, what is it that I do want to achieve next year? I'm more of a person that does small bite goals. So I'll do like last year I did trimester goals.
Oh, wow.
I aligned with my coach who was pregnant. So it just worked well. So I think we're going to do quarterly goals next year. But for me, that's just how I operate.
Mm.
And it's really, for me, really joyful to be in those small incremental moments. But, as I look at the end of the year, I'm already getting close to the point where I'm like, it's time to start recharging. I
Mm.
go hard and I allow myself to have big breaks sometimes when I don't go hard. And so I'm just really looking forward to that.
That's beautiful. Do you find that each year, I heard a little bit of variation from year to year around the declaration of the goals, but is there any other marker for you that you work on seasonally or stage of life for yourself that has you approach the end of the year differently?
You know, the one thing I would say is that the thing I've become really aware of is no matter if I had a job, no matter what kind of job I had, I worked for myself. Somehow, mid September to mid November are just chaos. It is
Mm.
always busy, 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 busy. And I'm sure part of it is me opting into it. So for me, like part of the ritual is like setting the rest of that through the end of the year and
Mm.
just getting like really into relaxing and rejuvenation. I'm not sure if that fully answered the question you asked, but
No, it does. I'm thinking about myself, like different stages of life, even, right? I used to be so, again, probably because I'm older, but in my 20s, it was like, must know what I'm doing in the next year, must have plans, and must have forward direction and rigor. And then in my 30s, I think I kind of kept that up and made the end of the year mean a lot. And I just noticed in my 40s, I'm very in tune with more about what I need. That's probably where I start at the end of the year every year is like, what do I actually need this year for what I've gone through or what I've been through or what, my body needs, my heart needs, my mind needs. And more often than not, I'm like you, like the last couple of years, I'm like, I just need rest. I need to rest and be quiet and not travel and ground in. That says a lot probably about my work life, but I wonder
yeah,
if there's any trends you see for yourself.
I think time of life where I'm at now is I just think people put so much pressure on the end of the year and trying to like get the things done. And let me take a step back. I am a gay guy, married. No, I'm not married. I guess I just created myself as married for a second,
Uh-oh, that's the
but I'm
declaration. There you go.
it is. It'll be coming soon. I'm a gay guy and my partner is Jewish. And so as we get to the end of the year and he doesn't practice,
Yeah.
so we get to the end of the year and we're like, there is a birthday we should have for you. And we don't go home for the holiday because we do it
Mm,
after the holiday. So,
mm,
like, it is the most spacious. And I just say that because, you know, people make so much of the end of the year of like meeting their goals, like ensuring they're set up for success for the next year. And, oh, let's get it all done because once you hit the first, we just go again. And on
mhm,
top of it, so many people have families and are celebrating like monumental holidays 3 times in a row over 4 days. And it's just like so much. And
mhm,
I've just kind of gotten to the point where like it's like a chill time. And I just am not putting pressure on myself. I think the place I do put pressure on myself is I'll make a monetary goal and it'll be like, I've got 2 weeks left. I must make 1,200
mhm,
more dollars somehow to like
mhm.
actually get to that goal
Yeah.
because that for some reason means something to me. But beyond that, I'm not really like pressuring myself. Like if I have a goal of like, let's say hiring someone in 2025 and like budgeting for that, like if it happens in April, it happens in April. If it happens in January, it happens in January.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you know yourself well at this point to even ask the question, like what do I need this year?
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh.
I mean, I also think the other thing that I would add into this all is, people like you and I do a really good job of like doing all these things and like not taking a beat to be like, what did I do? Like, where did I
Mhm.
actually like? What do I actually have to celebrate? Or what are the wins? Or what did I
Yes.
learn? And so I have been doing better, and I think I do this because I'm in a relationship with my own coach of like taking December to like not create next year, but to just fully reflect. And
Yeah.
like that has been really powerful for me to be like, wow, I did some pretty cool things. But you don't, unless you stop and think about it, you don't really recognize it all the time.
Oh man, I love the full month for celebration. Whole month. Just take it on. December 1st. Celebration the whole time. Well, speaking of looking back and reflecting, what's the biggest breakthrough or lesson that you had this year for yourself?
I think I'm going to lean into the one we were talking about before we hopped on here.
Yeah.
And because it was just hit home so much. I'll give a really quick backstory. I went to Turkey to get a hair transplant recently, and
Congrats.
thank you. And like I looked at it as this quick little like procedure I was going to have. My partner Brian asked if he could come with. It wasn't a can. It was like, "Do you want me to?" It's like, "No, save the money. We don't need it." After a 5-hour real operation where my scalp was in the most pain I'd ever experienced in my life, it was just this moment for myself of like realizing that somehow, somewhere, I allowed myself to get into this routine of life that was that I had convinced myself again that I'm so busy that I'm I'm numbing myself from like getting what I actually need because I don't even have time to think about it or look at
Mm-hmm.
it. And so that's like I needed support in that time. Like I just needed love. Like there's nothing he was going to be able to do, maybe help me get some clothes on, but like just to be there. So like I think the breakthrough for me has really been around less about like accepting help. That's still something we're working on, Elena, but more about like how do we slow down to allow ourselves to actually be in touch with a level of joy and insightfulness and fun because I'm either sprinting or I'm zoned out on the couch watching TV and like I haven't found the in between somehow. And so for me it's like this new moment of like what are the things I want to do for fun in my life.
Mm, that's cool. So learning to slow down to then invite in whatever you need, or in particular, fun.
Yeah. And it's funny. You'll laugh at me when I say this. I look at my business always and I think I hope 2025 is the year that this question gets like burned out. But
Mm,
like, I'm always like, why am I not moving faster? And why isn't this easier? Like, I ask myself that over and over again. No matter how much money I'm making or clients I have, it's not necessarily where I want to be.
mhm.
And I assume it should be easier all the time. And I don't think there's any answer to that. But what I actually really felt in this process of like learning to slow down and taking the joy in is I was like, oh, maybe that's where that answer actually exists because it's about the experience that I'll have that will be way less chaotic, will feel much easier. And like going out and having fun and doing things is going to have me in so much more relationship with people rather than like zoning out on my like hyper busy or like completely like couch potato moment.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so so good, especially the part you were just speaking to about the expectation of how it should be. I've had a recent moment with this myself where Aaron and I have been talking about, you know, it's so interesting. He said to me the other day, he said, I'm not sure you like being a CEO. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I've been in exploration of that for 3 years. I have no idea if I like being a CEO. I know I love being a coach and I know I love being a founder, but being a CEO has been quite challenging. And I'm still in the inquiry of do I like it? I still don't know. It's still up for my interrogation, I will say.
Fascinating
But
question. What if you find out you don't want to be a CEO? Then what?
exactly, that's the thing. But he said something really brilliant that I have to give him credit for because he's a great coach too. And he said he said, I just always hear you relating to everything as if it shouldn't be when it comes to being a CEO. And as opposed to, oh, this is part of the job. Like it can actually just be normal instead of, the high bar that I've set for myself over and over again. And it's so interesting that that's where it shows up in the conversation. And I was like, oh, right. If all
Mm.
of these things were not monumental, they were just normal things that CEOs deal with in my head, then there would be a lot more spaciousness. So even just the quick reframe that you offered is really brilliant. It was making me laugh because I'm like, great. That's kind of been my lesson for the year.
Well, it's interesting. I've had the opportunity, not less so in coaching. I
Yeah.
mean, I've worked with a few CEOs, but like through just my understanding and work of organizations when I have been in the C level, like my advice to CEOs is you get to, you're literally in charge. You can create the job that you want. There's
Yeah.
maybe a couple things here that like you have to do, but you really get to create it and then create the people around you that do the other things, like call yourself whatever you want. And so that's just like my mindset around it. And granted, like, all organizations look different, but it's the autonomy that you get to have as a CEO.
Yeah. And really being willing to embrace that as opposed to leaning on what should be.
Yeah.
That's really brilliant and beautiful.
We love
Well,
should be, except we hate it.
except we hate it, except we resist it, which is just our fear. Our fear of
Yeah.
having fun and falling deeply in love with everything we do.
Because what would happen if we did that?
Yeah, because then we'd have nothing to complain about. That would be weird. That's funny. Okay, well, I like to say at the end of every podcast here, I have a question for most guests, which is just if you had a banner, a slogan, or you had a microphone to tell the world next year something, what would you send out into the world for people as they're walking through the end of their year and into 2025?
I'm going to make this not going to say exactly what came to my mind, but I'm going to say the similar is like, calm down, like chill out,
Exactly.
everyone.
Chill out.
The world's still going to spin.
Yes.
Uh, and so I think it's a very much a like, just allow ourselves to like take a deep breath,
Hmm.
be with what's going on, and
Hmm.
like chill out. Let yourself enjoy what's actually happening, be present. And there's so much love in the world to go around. I know it does not feel like that right now. It does not, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of love there. And the more you give, the more that's actually going to be accessible to you.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for being here, Derek, and sharing your thoughts
Of
and your
course.
heart. It's a joy to be with you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
If this conversation sparks something for you, let it move through your week. Take it with you, take on one small action to move the ball forward. And if you want to join our community of leaders who are daring to lead with courage and heart, you can find that at www.elenaarmijo.com or www.thec-suitecollective.com. I reserve a small number of complimentary 20-minute sessions for leaders who want clarity on what they need and insight into what is getting in the way. The practical next steps that create real movement and results in your leadership journey. So you can schedule a call through the link below. It's in the description. Like, subscribe. Thank you for listening, for showing up, and for doing the work of being human together.